Hi guys, welcome to this video. We're going to talk about R and pipe operators in R today. If you are new to working with R and have not used pipe operators before and you don't understand what these weird symbols mean and how they're going to make your life simpler, well, wait no more. This video is just for you. So follow along with this video and practice some code with me, and hopefully you will be able to understand and process what pipe operators do and how they make your life easy. So pipe operator in R works like a link in a chain. What you're essentially doing is you are chaining together multiple operations, linking them with a pipe operator. So what happens is that you take the output with the expression on the left and pass it on as the first argument for the function on the right. And this way you keep building on the steps of your analysis rather than assigning the output to a new variable every time, or rather than using nested functions. Let's look at this with an example. So let's start with loading the tidyverse library, which is the main library we will use for this purpose. Library tidyverse. This already contains the deployer library, which is the mainstay of the exercise that we're doing today. The code that we're writing today is based off of using deployer functions. So if you have looked at deployer before or have never looked at deployer, it uses some key functions. And we're going to work with those functions today, but let's load some data. And we're going to use the preloaded data set that comes in our Penguins. So it has 8 columns, 344 rows, and we're just going to assign that to a variable named Penguins so that it's just easy to call it every time we need something to do with it. So now we have a data frame in our environment called Penguins. And the first step that we're going to do is we're going to write this code in a way that we would write in if there was no pipe operator available to us to use for our analysis. So let's just try to group these first of all, and then we try to summarize that to get the means. What we want to do is we want to get mean by sex and species. So I'm going to first mention the data set, and then I'm going to mention the column names that I need to group this data by. And we're going to assign that to a new variable. Let's call that data set 1. Not a very meaningful name, but will suffice for this activity that we want to do right now. Then we just take this and assign it to a new variable, and we use this data set 1 to create the summary of these two columns that we've created. So we take the grouped variable and we say that we want two things. We want the mean bill length, and we want the mean bill depth. So I'm just going to copy this and just change the variable name. And we're going to change the variable name from depth length to depth. Just change the name here as well. So now we're just going to run this piece of code and we're going to look at the output. What I also need is the count. So for that, I'm just going to use n open bracket close bracket, and with this I'll run both the lines of code, and this is the output in the data frame. Data set 2 gives me the sex, the species, the count, the mean bill length, the mean bill depth. And what I can see here clearly is that there appears to be a balance in the number of penguins that have been selected for measurements in male and female. So there are 73 Adelie female and 73 Adelie male, and we can see that the highest mean bill length is for male chin strap, while female chin strap is highest female bill length. And there seems to also be an inverse relationship between bill length and bill depth. However, we will have to do more plotting to understand this data, which is not the purpose of our exercise here. So now if I was to chain these functions, I would first call the data set penguins. Then I would just apply the function group by, mention the group names. I don't need to specify the data frame again in this call of function because it knows that this function group by has to be applied to this data frame penguins. And so now the output of the group by function can be chained directly to run the summary related functions that are inside the summarize function. So I'm just going to copy this from here and put it here. And I'm going to run this and we will be able to see the results in the console. Now we need to assign this to a data set. So I'm just going to call it mean data set. So I'm just going to run this query and we get mean data set, which has 8 observations and 5 variables, same as data set 2. So before I finalize this video, So before finalizing this video today, I just wanted to talk to you about why we are talking about pipe operator in the first place. So let me explain with an example here that not using pipe operator can lead to creation of multiple unnecessary local variables into your environment, which will make your environment heavy and difficult to load and difficult to work with. So for example, here you took penguins and then you assigned that to data set 1 after grouping it, and then you assign the output to data set 2. But in the second case, you just took the penguins data set, applied steps to it, and created one data set that you needed. Similarly, what you're also avoiding is you're avoiding nesting functions, which is another approach that you could take where you could start with one function and then put that inside another function and then put that inside another function to perform multiple steps in a data set. Now, when you're using nesting functions, function upon functions, it makes very difficult to find any errors in the data. It makes it very difficult to read the code and to debug it if you ever need to do that. So the pipe operator creates a clean set of steps that you can work with and make your life a lot easier. The second thing I wanted to show you was that you could go into modify keyboard shortcuts if you can't use the shortcut for getting pipe operator. So you will find pipe operator, insert pipe operator somewhere at the bottom. Let's look for it. So insert pipe operator. Control Shift M is generally the shortcut that's available. If for any reason it doesn't work, you can go and edit it here in keyboard shortcuts. And with that, it's a wrap on this video. Thank you so much.